I have a confession to make. I love socks. I love all kinds of socks. They're my all-time favorite thing to wear. I love to wear them. I love to give them as gifts. I love to talk about them. I actually like to knit them. I make socks for my family. And so far, my family enjoys them. But the main reason that I love socks is because they tell a story. They tell a story about your personality. They tell a story about your lifestyle. You know, are you a hiker? Are you a skier? Do you like warm and crazy socks? Do you like long socks? I had someone just tell me they had UFOs on their socks tonight. And so you never know what story your sock may tell about you. But the main reason I love socks is because they literally have the power to change the world. So what kind of story do you think they could tell if they started from the very beginning? What kind of story would that sock tell? I'm Rhea Pepper. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Textile Exchange. Textile Exchange is a global nonprofit. We work with the entire supply chain. We work with brands, retailers, manufacturers, all kinds of different fiber producers. We work with over 700 members in 50 countries. We have over 90 employees and team members in about 20 countries. And we work with the industry, the textile industry, to move them on a direction of travel. It's about moving away from business as usual. It's about investing in change and making the changes that are dynamic, that make a difference to us. It's about responsible agriculture. It's about recycled materials. It's about organic materials. It's about responsible wool, responsible leather. It's about how those fibers are grown. So that's the most important thing that a story can tell, is where the story came from and where these socks came from. So when you think about all the different fibers that go into socks, what do you think the most popular fiber might be? It's going to be cotton. That's right. Cotton's the #1 fiber that's utilized in socks. And it's also a fiber that has great potential to make a real difference in this world when you grow it using more sustainable, organic, and regenerative, restorative practices. So when you think about cotton, I grew up on a West Texas cotton farm. My family was involved in the enabling legislation for the National Organic Program that really laid the foundation for organic programs as well as certification. And so it's not just about what that sock is made from, but it's how it is grown, how that land is managed, and how that land is treated. And so cotton has great potential, a lot of potential. Right now, most of the cotton is still utilized is using synthetic, toxic, and persistent pesticides, overuse of synthetic fertilizers. And so it's time for that agricultural system to move away from business as usual into a system that is regenerative and organic and sustainable. Another fun fiber for socks is hemp. This is an incredibly absorbent fiber. It's very fun, and it's something that's starting to be grown in the United States more and more. But the caution here, it's not just about the fiber, it's about how you grow that fiber. So we want to make sure that organic production practices are used there as well. We don't want to fall into the same trap of business as usual that promotes and supports things like synthetic fertilizers, a lot of irrigation. And so it is about, not just about the fiber, but how it's grown. Another fiber, sometimes they're called bark fibers or man-made cellulosics, would be this sock that's either made from like pulp from trees or from bamboo. These are wonderful absorbent socks as well. And it's so exciting to see, again, land that's being more responsibly managed. It's not just about the people and the indigenous cultures that are there, because when you think about most of the man-made cellulosics comes from forests, then it is about looking at the big picture of how those forests are managed, because that's where the wildlife habitat as well. So you think about what's going on with the land, what's going on with the forest. It's important to choose programs and projects that are being responsible. I'll get into some of my other favorite fibers. I have to say, the wool, and of course Wyoming's known for its wool. There's a lot of fun socks when it comes to wool, mohair, alpaca, and different things like that. These really have kind of the triple bottom line when it comes to fibers, because it's not just about how the land is treated, It's about how the animals are treated as well. So when you think about animal welfare principles, you think about grazing rotations, and you think about how the land is treated. But it's also more than that, because most of the wool and the alpaca and the mohair and the cashmere come from nomadic herding communities. So it's not just about the animals when you talk about animal fibers. It's not just about the way the land is treated. It's also about supporting indigenous culture. So when you buy a pair of alpaca socks, for example, from Peru, you're supporting not only the land and the animals, but the people as well. And so it's really looking at the fibers and materials you wear in a more holistic manner. The other thing that's very interesting about socks is that most of them have some sort of elasticity in them. So they're going to have a little bit of spandex or nylon or polyester to make them retain their shape, to have that stretch. You may not know, but when you hear those words like polyester, nylon, spandex, those come from non-renewable petroleum-based sources. And so if you're going to be using synthetics in your life, I would encourage you to use recycled. And so just like this sock, read the label. Use something that's promoting good care for soils as well as being responsible for recycled materials. These socks may look small and they're cute. Like I told you, I have this thing for socks. They're so cute and they are organic and they look so small. In fact, you know, it is so interesting to think about socks being so small, but when you add it all up, socks are a $42 billion industry. Huge, huge industry. And that is literally the tip of the iceberg. Or should I say, really, the tip of your toes. When you think about all the textiles and materials that we're surrounded with, starts with your toes. We're wearing jeans, we're wearing jackets, we're sleeping on sheets, we're wrapping up in towels, we're sitting on a couch. We are surrounded by textiles. And all of these textiles have impacts. And it's when you're using choices. In fact, it's interesting, most of the companies we work with, when we start working with them on having a fiber and material strategy, they have no idea where their fiber comes from. A lot of them didn't even know that wool comes from a sheep. It's like shocking, the lack of knowledge that the CEOs and the brands have. So it's really interesting to say, yes, your choices, you're not just ordering a t-shirt, you're not just ordering a pair of jeans. The choices that you're making in your fibers and materials actually impact people's lives. They impact people's land. They impact the lives of the animals as well. So don't do business as usual anymore. Business as usual is what's created the pollution and the poverty and the problems. It's time to make conscious choices about the fiber we use. Making decisions without choice leads to consequences. This is called neglect. There's no such thing as ignorance is bliss. Now it's time to talk about it loudly. Poor decisions create deforestation. They create soil erosion, desertification, toxins in our water. All these, the poverty that we talked about, poor working conditions. We hear the news all the time about something's going wrong in someone's supply chain. So it's time to make conscious decisions. And those conscious decisions actually start with each one of us. And so what does it look like to start being a conscious consumer? A consumer that does start reading the labels. So you're looking for the story of where did this come from and how was it grown? Did it support, just like these alpaca socks, did it support indigenous people and animals and have sustainable practices for their soils? Does it come in here and have opportunities for how it talks about how the people are treated when they made the sock? Here's just a few examples of some of the labels that are out there in the marketplace. This one in particular is made with responsible wool. When you see a certification, it means that that had a third-party verification that indeed the animals were checked on, the land was checked on, and the people were checked on, verified of best practices. And so it's important when you think about making a change in your life, make a change that is to your values. Like I said, socks are just the tip of our toes of the impacts that we have when you think about all the different textiles that surround us. So I really encourage you to be that discerning consumer. Actually, no, I don't want you to be a consumer anymore. I want you to be a contributor. I want you to be a conscious person that uses your voice, uses that opportunity, reads that label, use your voice and call your favorite brand and say, hey, are you using responsible? Are you using, regenerative? Are you using restorative? Are you using organic practices? Call them and have a voice. So it's time for you to feel empowered. It's time for you to take that opportunity to do something like change your socks and change the world. So I'll get to you to say, I'm a grandmother. It's an amazing opportunity in my life. I've talked to a couple other grandparents in the audience. And having grandchildren, it's like lighting another fire in your heart. These kids are what keeps the fire lit in my heart for the work that I do. It's so exciting to know that the work that we're doing is making a difference for their lives. But all of us in this room, and the people that are, you tell them about, it's like make that difference, make that choice, choose food, choose fiber that does make a difference. Because these kids deserve a better world than what we have right now. Your kids deserve a better world than we have right now. And we can take that action and we can take that change. And so I would just encourage you to be that label reader, use your voice, use your power. We talked about being a warrior earlier today. It's so exciting to say we can make a difference. Making a choice, change your socks, can change the world by being an empowered consumer and choosing organic, regenerative, and sustainable practices. Thank you.